We're here, Riley and I, on this cool late October day. However, we also have someone else here as a special guest. Please welcome Jennifer Brown, a best-selling author. Thanks for being here, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Just to give you viewers some background knowledge, Jennifer works at the Kansas City Star and writes a humor column. She's a Wednesday blogger for Mom to Mom Kansas City. So far, she has published one novel, that being a young adult one called Hate List, released last year. We will go further in detail about this book in just a little bit later. Currently, she is continuing to write in the young adult category and is working on Bitter End, soon to be published.
Okay, Jennifer, we'll get started with a few questions now. What influenced you to write a novel on such a sensitive topic, which is the school shooting?
Well, I think that several things came together for me to write this book. One is just that school shootings happen.
Yeah.
My sister looking at the camera.
Whatever you want to do.
Okay. One, just being that school shootings happen. Another being that I was watching TV with my husband, and we were watching a special about the Virginia Tech shooting, and I was sort of wondering aloud, why school shootings don't get stopped while they're in progress, and what would happen if one did.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing that happened was I got a song stuck in my head. It just sort of made the story appear there. I knew who the character was and what had happened. And then also, so influencing the story was my own personal history of being bullied while I was in school.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Describe how Valerie struggles with herself as she returns to high school after next shooting incident, and how Valerie feels like an outsider.
Well, Valerie has a lot to deal with. Not only is she going back to school after a really traumatic incident and having to relive what happened that day in her mind, and very tragic for her, very traumatic. But she's coming back with a lot of people doubting her, a lot of people thinking maybe she was involved in some way, thinking that she's sort of a villain or a monster, and it doesn't help that she was never particularly popular to begin with, so she doesn't have a lot of support or a lot of friends.
Okay. Valerie really discovers who she is in the book. What advice do you have for teenagers in a rough spot like Valerie?
Probably the best advice that I can give is to get help, to go to a trusted adult and try to get some help, but also just to remember in the back of your mind that it does get better, that people as they get older and mature, they tend to stop doing these kind of bullying things, and that once you get out of school you'll forget about these people, and they won't matter anymore. So
when I was reading the book, there was a character named Ginny, and since this is a Harry Potter podcast, I was wondering who did Ginny's name, get any kind of thoughts from Ginny Weasley.
I never thought about that, but it's possible that crept
kind
in
of
there.
Yeah,
you never know.
She, what we know about her that happened before the shooting, she's the exact opposite of Ginny, but I feel like what happens after, how she kind of goes into a shell, that's what Ginny feels like, because she's poor and she feels like she doesn't have any friends yet at Hogwarts, and she's just, her brother's the best friend of Harry Potter, and Ginny in Hate List, she had a lot of friends, but then she got her face reconstructed, and her friends kind of it's more like relationship with Ginny is like sympathy, and so
that's some good thinking right there. I've never been asked that question before.
Yeah. Just a few more questions. How did you come up with the ideas for the specific time periods of each section of the book?
In the original, the first draft, I actually, when I'm writing, I'm kind of thinking movie-like in my head. That's how I'm seeing things. So a lot of the flashbacks I had just dropped into the current day, whatever was going on.
Whatever was where you were.
Yeah. It's sort of, Valerie's walking past her locker and it makes her think of this, and I would go into a flashback sort of in italics.
Yeah.
And the editor really thought that was confusing, so we did a lot of work in putting them together into bigger pieces and kind of splitting them up in a way that made sense. So that all happened during revision.
Right.
What are your future plans for Hate List and with other novels?
With Hate List, I've had a lot of good response, especially from schools, and it's sort of my favorite part of the whole process is getting to come and talk with people like you, talk to teens about the book. So hopefully my future plans with Hate List is to just continue doing that. I have the novel Bitter End coming out in May, and then I have another young adult novel that should be coming out in the future as well. So just my plans are to just continue, keep going.
Cool. Yeah. Can you describe how your family likes Harry Potter?
My son, my oldest son, is probably one of the biggest Harry Potter fans. We have been Harry Potter for Halloween, and we have like the real robe and a wand and the glasses, the whole bit. As a matter of fact, we even went to Hot Topic and got him a shirt. So
you have a Percy Jackson.
Well, he's also a Percy Jackson fan. So yeah, we're big fans at our house, and we read the first 5 of them out loud together as a family, and then my son's reading outpaced ours, so then we went to reading it alone.
One more question.
Sure.
It was on the tip of my tongue. It wasn't on here. If film rights for Hateless were to be under works, would you be for that or against that, or would you just want it to be a book, or would you want a film adaptation to see how they would portray it?
It would depend on what the plan was to do with it.
Yeah.
It would be very difficult to make Hateless a movie, I think, because it's so character driven and emotion driven, and what it takes me 4 pages to convey emotion wise in a book would flit across an actor's face like that. So it would depend. They would have to definitely play up probably the shooting scene, and if it was too gratuitous or whatever, then it would maybe give me pause, but it would just depend on what they plan to do with it.
Okay, yeah. Thanks for joining us today on Potter People Podcast.
Thank you.
And have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Don't forget to pick up Hateless and Potter People, and welcome to the second ever Potter People Podcast. We hope you really enjoyed the interview that we just showed you of Jennifer Brown, the award-winning Kansas City author. We'd like to thank her once again for her great writing and all the questions that she answered for the interview. Alright, now so we'll move on to some news. Songs from the soundtrack were leaked, and I really like them. Like, I listened to Love Good, which is the song when they go see Luna's dad, which Luna's my favorite character. And the actress who plays Tonks, it was her birthday. Her name was...
Only he would know that. Like, I don't even know who you're talking about. Never mind. Go ahead.
Her name was Natalia Tina. She plays Tonks. So, happy belated birthday, Natalia. So, Isaac, what do you think about those news besides Dobby being a midget?
Well, it is exciting with the soundtracks being released, because I think a key thing in Harry Potter movies is the music, because it kind of gives you that, it kind of makes you know, it's like the trademark in Harry Potter movies, besides like side effects and stuff like that.
And besides the characters?
You mocking me? Anyway, this is kind of taking a long time, sorry, I'm tired.
It's fine.
So I think it's cool they released the movie, because you kind of visualize the movie in your head with the music. And other than that, I agree with everything you said.